Early bird, as always. Enjoying the heat, trying to look very summery. And my people them did. Oops. Hello. Hello. Hey, at the Zoom, have we got the Zoom gremlins? You're on mute. Have you got the Zoom gremlins? Lord God, no bother with it.
Okay, it's finally, if I clicked it 6 times after I tell you to click and wait. It's like, come on.
Yes, I mean.
And now I can hear an echo. Have you got two devices on?
Nope, I don't.
No.
Why does it be me? Why couldn't be you?
Because I know that I don't have 2 devices on.
I don't have 2 devices on.
Okay.
And ladies wearing pearls today.
Lady was at the Tones of Beauty show today.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like being in Dubai. Talk about beauty show being upmarket. I mean, I was impressed with it last year. Oops, let's make myself comfortable. Yeah, I was impressed with it last year. That's why I made the effort to go this year. And it's even more impressed. I was just showing Sabrina, I've got clove oil for my to help my circulation. I've got perfume and perfume and perfume
God.
and perfume
and
a mini facial massager that will help my what do they call this thing, lymphatic drainage, so all the puffiness that I've been getting recently will be gone, and the usual collection of bags that are full of leaflets, and that's a beautiful stuff. Look, they even said thank you. Yeah, wow. It was really nice. Oh, and another perfume.
I'm gonna try make a trip come raid your perfume collection, you know.
Raid my perfume collection.
What I'll do is I'll come with, you know, like the chloroform, knock you out, have a rummage, and then before you even realize, I'm gone.
You're not well to even think of something like that.
It's the inner creative in me. Must be something, you know, in preparation for the creator and creative that we've got coming on tonight.
Oh yes, this is exciting actually, because yes. I look. Oh, do you know what? I didn't send the link, although it is the same link every time. Oh, with all the stuff I can't see my phone.
I tested the link this time because last week with Pidor,
she struggled a little bit.
Yeah, so I made sure I tested the link because it was the link I used to come here today. So there should be no reason, hopefully, that anyone has any issues with joining.
Oh, did I not press? Oh, hold on. I think you might have come on just as I was sending a message. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, that's my role. I'm the interrupter.
And let me find my glasses. You see, I've come online. Do you see my eye? Oh, I didn't tell you about my eyelashes. It's actually just darkening them, not eyelash extensions or anything like that.
It's the same. Was that at Tones of Beauty as well?
Mm-hmm. It was all beauty. I can't think that I saw any hair stuff there. It was truly beauty and perfume, skincare and beauty. Beauty and massage. Beauty. Yes, see, we didn't get it mixed up with hairdressing.
Okay. The words for that one.
I need to
Okay.
find my. Oh, too much stuff. Oh,
I'm letting Anita in because she's an honorary attendee, so she can come in before everybody else. Anita is special.
oh, it's my glasses I'm looking for, and all I'm doing is finding more and more gifts from the tones of beauty. Oh, yes, of course, we've got to let our Anita in. I did hear you. It's just that I'm still rummaging.
And she gets to come in early. Hi, Anita.
Hey.
How are you?
Woman like Anita, the original, the OG attendee extraordinaire. If we don't feel supported by anybody else, we cannot have that label.
Get supported by me.
We are 100% supported by you, and I cannot thank you enough and show my appreciation enough for your support. We need
You're more
more
than welcome.
Anitas. Anita, you need to split yourself into pieces and make more of you.
Do you know what? You take priority over my sister and my daughter because they tend to ring me 10 or 15 minutes. And Marissa's just rang me. And I said, I've got a Zoom meeting.
Thanks for saying that, because I didn't send out the link. I know you've worked out that it's the same link every time.
Well, it's a guy. That's why I remembered. It's a guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
1st of July. Yes.
Hey,
I
change
remember.
is happening.
What a way to start the month.
Yeah.
Start the month breaking the mold to let people know, although we are called Support a Sis-Star Network, and not just woman alone we deal with the man them too.
Exactly.
So I can't think of a better way, and it's divine, universal connection why the mail turned out to be on the 1st of the month. We started back our relaunch on the 1st of April.
Interesting. You see, you know that we never even noticed.
Yes, I noticed patterns. I'm a math person, so I noticed patterns with numbers. So our relaunch was the 1st of the month, and it worked out well that our first guest was not saying that everybody else wasn't godly, but her talk was about the combination of calling your godly calling with working in corporate, and it felt to be like with everything, you have to bring God in the midst of it, not to get too religious, but bring God. And it was nice for me having it was like that interview coming like an opening prayer, if you like. So to bless the platform that this time around on this relaunch, that we will grow, because this showcasing people has been on my heart for whatever reason for many years, and if it wasn't for Sugar as well saying stop talking about it, do something about it, yeah. And then that was the exact voice she used as well, by the way.
You get the blame, Sugar.
It's not even social blame, but when somebody's in your head all the time, oh yeah, and I could do this, and so does this, and if other people knew, and and I could do this, and then 2-3 weeks later again, and you know what, and we could do this. I'm like, just do it. In fact, I think you ended up getting forced into doing it because she wouldn't even agree on a date. She wouldn't agree on a time. But anyway, hi Jennifer.
Hi Jennifer.
Jennifer, you're gonna have to start preparing yourself.
Hi ladies. Hi ladies. I'm in the war zones here. I've had dental treatment today, so
I can't see you and laugh at you.
I'm feeling rather sorry for myself right now. My head's hurting me. My motor hurt me. Oh God.
Oh God.
There's nothing worse than toothache. I think it's worse than labor.
Yeah. Well, the toothache's gone. Yeah, yes, it is. The toothache's gone, and it's just I've got the after effects of the numbing, the
Yes.
anesthetic, and my
Yes.
head's hurting me. I don't feel good at all.
No.
Just letting Emeka.
And
I've
Emeka's here. Can you see him?
No.
No camera. Hello.
changed my view.
Hello.
Yay.
Good evening. Good
Hello.
evening.
Yay.
Good evening.
Everyone's excited for you. We was chatting about you and everything.
Oh gosh, you were talking about him so much you didn't do his bio.
Oh well, he's just have to listen to while I talk about him in front of his face. Usually, as part of the startup, we do a because. All right, let me rewind because I get in a bit. Woo! Right, so usually our formatting how we do this thing because this is very casual. This is not no, as you can see, I don't have no microphone. It's not no studio polish up thing. It's just conversations, getting to know people's journeys, their stories, and well, you're the storyteller, so there's lots of stories out there that need to be shared where people are aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So usually in the run up to it, we like to have a little bit of a behind the scenes, so we catch up with our attendees, well, the special ones that we let in a bit early, and chat you behind your back. But now I can't chat you behind your back. I have to chat you in front of your face. And first of all, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Emeka or Emeka?
The first one, Emeka.
Emeka.
Yeah.
And I was going to attempt to do your surname.
It's Egbuonu, so it's a silent G.
Egbuonu.
Yeah, silent G. So yeah, Egbuonu.
Egbuonu.
Yeah.
Hold on, why am I doing this thing with it?
So Ebu, then Onu.
Ebu, Onu.
Yeah, that's it. Put it together.
Hey. that's the educator in him. Right. So just to chat him behind his back, yeah, he's not here, right? Just to chat him about behind his back. Emeka Egbuonu is an educator. He's an author. He's a screenwriter. He's done 2 films.
You don't have to whisper what he is. You can say it louder.
Chatting behind him back. Yes, but he's. Let me just read from my script that I had created. So this evening, we're going to have a powerful session with Emeka Egbuonu, a screenwriter, author, and educator who has mastered the art of storytelling as a tool for community transformation. As the creator of Stolen Dreams series and the founder of Stories by Emeka, Emeka explores the vital intersections of identity, education, and social impact. And also, I forgot to mention, he writes some books. So a couple of the books I've seen was My Sister's Pain and Ambitions of the Deprived. And he's currently got a new book out called Ikenna. Have I said that right? Ikenna?
Yeah, Ikenna.
Yeah. And it's a fatherhood tale. So so that the story there is very relatable for these fathers out there, coming into their own with raising children. And and the rest, I'm not going to say no more than that. So Sugar, that's your cue to do our introduction.
Hello and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. You will see in the chat that I've remembered to put the links in this week, and the people that are on my broadcast, if you want me to send it via WhatsApp, let me know. My name is Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar, and I'm here tonight with...
I am Beverly. I'm also known as your UK fluffy chick. And together we are the founder Sis-Stars of Support a Sis-Star Networking, which is a community that we're building to where people can get to showcase what they do, share their products, goods, service, business, any life-changing moment that they want to put in the group, they can share it in the group. And it's just a way of trying to highlight all the unsung heroes out there in the communities doing their stuff that you might not be aware of. We started 4 years ago originally, and took a break, come back, and coming back with a vengeance. And so with us, and although we're called Support a Sis-Star Network, we don't just focus on women's stories. It's everybody's story because we're intertwined, yes? So it's everyone's story. So, and I was saying before you came, Emeka, was because I like maths. So the symbolism of numbers. We did our relaunch on the 1st of April. And now it's the 1st of July. We've got the first male interviewee. So hopefully you're going to be the first of many more men to come.
The first male in this new...
That's what I mean, since our relaunch. Our first male interviewee since our relaunch. So it's hopefully the first of many more to come. For the people that's attending at the moment, and we will always have more people coming in, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We have our mega supporter, Anita, who's with us every week without fail. And she was just telling us that, especially because of you, Mr. Emeka, family get luck. Yeah. Family wanted to talk to her. She's like, hey, not tonight. I have meeting. Yes. So, but what I recommend for our participants, to keep your microphones on mute, because you'll just pop up on screen if you don't, and you might not want to. So therefore, but we do have a Q&A time. It's not like we just stop Q&A. You can throw in your questions at any time. Just let us give us a little bit of a heads up that you want to ask a question, and then just free your mic. Because sometimes, as I say each week, we have the Zoom gremlins. I'm not going to say their names too loud in case they decide to make an appearance. And then we end up talking over each other. We don't realize it until when we're watching the replay. So I think I've done most of the housekeeping. So, Mr. Emeka, introduce yourself, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Emeka Egbuonu, also known as Stories by Emeka. I've been sort of telling stories for the last 16 years. Through different mediums. Started off with poetry in school when I was in secondary school. I used to make beats as well, so I was never a person who had the rhythm. So, rap is rhythm and poetry, whereas I had the poetry, but I didn't have the rhythm. So I just kept my words on the page, essentially. And so I just used to use it to get my thoughts out, because I was a super introvert, which is, I was always in my head a lot of the time. And then over the years, I sort of transitioned into writing books. And, the first time didn't come through something positive. It was through tragedy, if I'm honest with you. So I was as a youth worker in Hackney at the time. We had a young lady who was shot and killed in a chicken shop in 2010 in Hoxton. And I had a workshop that I started called Consequences. And I took away one of the youth work evenings where it was open play, the typical youth club. You've got table tennis, pool, and all of these things. And I took one of those nights away, and I said that, guys, we're going to have, I guess, the podcast before the podcast existed, essentially. Like, we're just going to talk. And people thought that, nobody would turn up, but a lot of the young men in and around that area at the time filled the space. We had more people on that particular day than normal, and people just wanted to talk about different issues that they were having, whether it's broken families at home, being stereotyped in terms of, how we're seen in the media, how we're seen, by our teachers, by the police, and most importantly at that time, by each other. A lot of the young men used to see each other as the enemies. If we didn't know each other, it was like the assumption was I needed to have my guard up. So we had conversations around all of those things, and most importantly at that time was more, for me, it was just more about how do we continue to raise the bar of excellence. So we spoke about ambition a lot, and how do we get from A to B, and what are the obstacles that are going to stop you from getting there. And so I called it Consequences, that art of thinking about something, thinking about your actions before you do it. and just emotional intelligence. So yeah, Agnes was part of it. She was a core of that, and then yeah, like literally a year since we started that, she was shot and killed, and then I needed to get beyond Hackney with my message essentially, and to take this conversation with these young people to a bigger scale to try and see how we can continue to make a difference in young people's lives, and make sure that her legacy lives on. And so then I remember somebody said, "Oh, Emeka, you're good at writing. Why don't you just write a book, and just get your thoughts on paper?" And so that's how I wrote my first book, Consequences, which is my only non-fiction piece of work. And then once that came out, a lot of universities invited me to speak. Sort of grew my confidence as a public speaker then. So once the dust settled down, so this was during that first riot in 2011. Once that settled down, I really enjoyed the process of writing. And I thought, okay, I don't have anything else to add to that, but the themes around everything that we've spoken about can be put in a different form. And so that's when I went into the fiction format. And so I wrote my first novel, Ambitions of the Deprived. And so yeah, we just take it from there. And so I've just been juggling my creative side with staying on um, the ground level of working with young people in some capacity, whether that's through youth work to eventually transitioning into teaching, and being in charge of a classroom and just embedding storytelling, even if how I deliver my speeches and deliver my lessons. So it's all embedded in everything that I do.
That is absolutely fantastic because I find in this times there's not much for young people to have an outlet, and I feel like that's what makes a lot of them so angry. And without proper guidance into how to channel that anger, it always will end up into some volatile negative situation, and their trajectory could be so much different if they had more Americas that's kind of guiding them through and through storytelling. Because I mean, and you have to think about when you were young. You never
Mhm.
want nobody to tell you what to do. You just
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like you know everything. But by the sounds of it, it's like you're it, they've got input. So when they feel heard, it's the outcome will be totally different rather than just being told what to do. Sounds like that's pretty much what you're doing. So from what I've also just heard you say is, so your inspirational point was through you being an introvert and um from writing
Yeah,
yourself, and that was kind of where the seed first got planted.
yeah.
So is it fair to say also that that's what took you on that journey, was with the tragedy of you say it was what
Agnes.
Agnes, yeah.
right. Okay, so that's what started you on that journey,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, so what else did you do in your early stages to be able to be on those platforms like in universities? How did you get into university to speak in the first place? How did they see you?
So I wrote that book. So that happened in April 16th, 2010. And so I think I started writing um September that year, and then took a while for me to edit it and for the book to come out. And so it came out literally just before, just after the riots, actually. But we started promoting it before the riots, and then obviously the riots happened, and it now became the language that I think, who was it at the time, David Cameron, I believe, said the feral youth lingo at the time. And so there was a lot of questions from a lot of academics in regards to what's happening on the ground. And obviously my book came out at the time, and my publicist at the time, he was quite good. So he got David Lammy to write a review. He got some of the leading criminologists to write a review about that book. And so one of those criminologists, he invited me to East London University. So I spoke there. And then it was just a chain reaction in regards to, once people heard me speak, it's like others people invited me. I went to Durham University, I went to Birmingham City University. And then I sort of fell in love with how I can share the stories, um, and what we're trying to do on the grassroots levels in terms of trying to inspire young people, because obviously as academics they're looking at a lot of theories and a lot of things like that, but it's like, okay, you now have this raw emotional stories of practicalities of what's actually happening on the ground. I remember one time I said to them that a lot of the times we're trying to find solutions when the young people are already screaming. So they're already screaming, and unfortunately we can't hear them anymore, and they can't hear themselves, so they're living in chaos. So you're there with your calm tone trying to say, okay, here is the solution. Oh, go and, here's this opportunity now. But like that volume that it's at now didn't
That
get
was
to that
too late.
100% to that level. They've been slowly screaming right from primary school, but nobody's paying attention. It's not until I really got into education that I really understood what the magnitude of the problem that we had in this country. And that's one of the main reasons I left youth work, because I was dealing with a lot of intervention work. And a lot of the young people that was coming into my care had the same story, been kicked out of mainstream education, and then they're more likely to now end up in the prison system. So I thought, if I'm in the classroom, because again, education is predominantly run by middle-aged white women, essentially. So there's this culture clash of what's happening there. So we needed just more males in the classroom, full stop, and then most importantly, more black males in there. And so that's why I sort of, got my qualifications to go into the classroom to help keep them in that environment as much as possible so they can continue chasing their ambition. And so that's all part of what makes up, I guess, my creative side, because it all intertwines together.
Yeah, and that's essentially you said that more black males in the classroom. But I'm trying to think back, although I went to school many moons ago, but I'm trying to think back in terms of when I was in junior school. I think at the time we had three black teachers, one man
Mm,
and two women.
yeah.
And yeah, I remember seeing three black teachers, and then when I got to my secondary school, I only remember seeing two black teachers, black
Yeah.
male teachers. So it's sometimes it's where especially like the young black boys, men are not seeing themselves represented in, well, it's not so much so bad now, but earlier they weren't
Mm,
really seeing themselves represented in spaces. So like even to have an ambition or a dream is like, will never happen anyway, so what's the point? And they go in different directions if they're not being guided in their household. Do you see that
mhm.
as you was getting a lot of
Emeka,
go on?
um, weren't you nervous about going into the classroom as a black man, stroke, and the male thing with all the PC and everything that's going on? Weren't you nervous about being put into a position where you may be accused of something?
No, I think the confidence that I had from being in the youth work settings, because I've seen a lot. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot. Like,
Yes.
before that tragedy, like we had a shooting in a youth club that I was in 2009, November the 5th. I'm very good with dates, and these are important moments that all part of the story. On this particular night, it was fireworks night, 2009. And before we had our sessions that night, one of these two boys came in a motorbike, and I was in the office with one of my colleagues. All the young people were playing pool, doing what they normally do, and then I heard bang, and I thought, oh, who let off a firework in the main hall? And then as I rushed out to open the door, I could see the young man with a bike helmet. And then he said, "So what are you men saying now?" Everybody was frozen. The guy outside revved the bike. The guy
Hmm.
with the gun ran up, jumped on the bike, and they disappeared. And everyone said, "Emeka, Emeka, Michael's been shot." And I couldn't find Michael. Then I realized that he was playing pool. I went behind the pool table, and he's just on the floor, bullet wound in his stomach. And I'm trying to do first aid, trying to keep him alive. Long story short, the ambulance came first, but they wouldn't come to the scene because it's an armed incident. So the armed police have to come and clear the scene. So I'm thinking, because of protocol, this young boy is going to die. But eventually, long story short, he lived. So having experienced all of this.
You were ready.
Yeah, and so when they're saying to me, "Oh, these young boys are unteachables," and there's a lot of labels have happened, and before I was in a position to actually take charge of a classroom, I was a behavioral mentor, so I was observing the actual teachers. So you don't
Okay.
have any power, but you're just there to support them and support. And I
Mhm.
just remember seeing a lot of injustices happen. Like Femi and Charlie are both messing about.
But
The
Femi's
teacher,
going to get
yeah, the teacher calls it
reprimanded.
out. But all of a sudden Charlie's being cheeky, but Femi's being aggressive. So then when Femi now um, tries to fight up for the injustice of how you've handled both of us,
Uh-huh.
the original offense of both of them messing about now becomes a side. It's
Femi's.
now becomes about your insubordination of how dare you challenge me. So
Hmm.
now because of that, Femi's now removed from the classroom.
Yeah,
He
yeah. Seen
continues to
that
protest.
often.
Before you know it, he's now in inclusion, and so on and so forth. Now teachers in the staff room, a lot of them take things personally. They start to build up an evidence base. Build an evidence. So eventually, when we want to get them removed, it's easier to get this person removed, especially if they're not academically sound. It's
Hmm. Hmm.
easier. It's
Yeah.
easier to do because I remember going with my younger brother, who's 15 years younger than me. I remember going to his parents' evening, but because he was doing well, but his behavior wasn't the best. It was just low level disruptions all of the time. So I was like the third parent. I was the one that's always going to these meetings. So he had more than enough points to warrant an exclusion or suspension. So when
Uh-huh.
I was looking at it, why haven't they done it? Because he's expected to get good GCSE. So if you're
Oh,
not
yeah,
on that,
because they have to keep their
yeah.
marks
So if
up.
you're not on that
Yeah.
spectrum of what could look good for them later on down the line, it's
Uh-huh.
easier for them to remove you from that. So when
So they
I'm
had to.
behind the scenes learning all of these things, I'm like within that situation there, how would I have handled that as the
Uh-huh.
male dominant person in the space? And not removing them and just knowing how to handle that because without the escalation. And so for a long time, I was building up even more confidence with my experience as a youth worker and seeing what I was seeing from being a behavioral mentor. And then by the time I was fully qualified, I was ready to go, more than confident to take over.
Excellent. I am now
So,
going to be frivolous before I pass you back to
Yeah.
Beverly, because
so
immediately,
is it nothing to do with the child then? Is it all about what the school can achieve?
no, there's.
It just depends. It depends. I think so. For instance, with my brother, because it was low level disruption, they were more lenient with these behavioral points because behavioral points would suggest, without any bias, unless some of the teachers were accumulating those points at him because of the same thing as Femi, whereas you're getting more points because maybe you're a bit more combative with challenge for injustice. But on the fact that he had these amount of points warranted this next step. Whereas, he said that some of his friends who had less points than him have been suspended. And then I was like, okay, what are they expected to get? He goes, oh, some of them are not going to get their GCSE. Some of them are already doing BTECs. So for me, that was the constant
Mm.
Okay,
thing because they have to look at it from their perspective as well.
before I pass you back to Beverly, because she's the interviewee. I'm actually just a
No, no,
technical
no, no,
person.
no, no, no,
But
no, 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 no. It's a
immediately,
Yeah.
go home, go. Mm.
immediately, um, I thought of To Serve with Love. And my frivolous question was, did you have an outfit that you thought was correct for the classroom?
Um, just to, I guess, staying within a professional um frame. So I wasn't wearing a suit or anything, but just more smart casual at the same time. So, but for me, one of the most important things that I did in education was build relationships outside the classroom.
Oh, outside the
Yeah.
classroom.
Mhm.
Ask anyone that's ever worked with me. I've spent more time in the common room than in the staff room. If
Okay.
I'm in the staff rooms because I have to be there, I have to mark. It's like my spirit connects a lot more with the young people in that space because there's a purity around them, even as teenagers, because that's the group that I work with. But I find a purity around them and just being able to connect. Because once I make that connection and I'm step back into that less formal environment of being in a common room, playing table tennis with them or playing cards, just to get to
Excellent.
understand their psyche a little bit more. By the time I now they understand the difference because people would see me in that space and assume that, oh, he just wants to be liked, and his classroom, it's just the fun classroom, not much learning is taking place. And well, you come and speak to the students, ask them who holds them to the highest standard ever. In terms of, as soon
Exactly.
as you cross into my classroom, it's like my job is to make sure that you're going to achieve the best to your ability. I say
Uh-huh.
to them, it's like I care more about you saying to me that I can't do this. For me, that's more profanity than you swearing in my classroom. By you saying I can't do this, I'm like, I want you to replace that and put one word at the end, and that word is yet. I can't do this yet. And that's the mind frame that we need to have in my classroom. So raising that bar of standards high. And so it's like once I've have their respect from outside the classroom and they understand who I am
Yes, they
in
can
the classroom,
communicate with you,
yeah, so the
and
behavior
that's so
is there's
important.
no behavior issues per se because you're just managing the individuals in a way that they understand and they respect you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
No worries.
What subject do you teach, by the way?
So English, and I also teach public services, which is a subject that I teach in further education, but I also teach English, GCSE English as well.
Okay, okay. So as a youngster, did you think you would have ended up in as a teacher? Did you see yourself as a teacher? Was it no, like if you were this little child, what do you want to be when you grow up? Was teacher your first occupational choice?
No, no. So that I thought I would be in tech because I was very good at with computers. So my first studying was at university. It was computer science. So I was good at a few things. I was English, computer science, and football. So everybody thought I was going to make it in football, but in my household, education was just as important. You can try it and make it. The odds are against you, but you can try. But you also get your education was is equally as important. So I thought I would be in tech, and so it's not until I came back to my area after my first round of university. I was invited to go back to the youth club that I went to as a child to come and volunteer and to come and sort of give back. And that's how my life changed essentially. So I was meant to come back and go straight into the city and start working. But when I did that 2 weeks volunteering back in the same youth club, and I started hearing the exact same conversations that I've heard before with my generation, people my age. And so some of the people that I knew who are now dead or in prison because of the back of these conversations that were being had. So I couldn't just say, okay, I've supervised table tennis now. I'm just going to go and work in the city. And I said to them, I need to intervene with these conversations because I know exactly where this is going to take you. And so that's when I felt like I needed to stay. So that 2 weeks turned into a year, turned into getting my youth work qualifications. And before you know it, I was ingrained to be in this environment.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes we can always have some kind of plan, but we're here for a purpose.
Mm.
So sometimes we're gonna find ourselves in a position that's gonna pivot us
Yeah.
to our purpose. So how I connected with you was being in the audience of the viewing of your second episode of your Stolen Dreams
Mhm.
trilogy films. Can you tell us a little bit more about your films, your film screenwriting, and how did you pivot into that area of creativity?
Yeah. So after I wrote my last novel, which was probably my most emotionally taxing story to write, mainly because of where I had to write it and the fact that it was a book about fatherhood. So Ikenna means strength of a father in Igbo, my language. So my second daughter was born at 26 weeks. At the start, just before we went into the first lockdown in 2020. And so she came very, very early. So we spent about 7.5 months in ICU. She weighed 835 grams. So being surrounded by machines, incubators, and just, you know, young children who might not make it. And writing was my escape in that moment. So once that book was written, it was like I want to be able to tell other stories. I wanted to become a visual storyteller because mainly because when people have read my book, they say I can see this being a film or I can see this being a TV show. So I said to myself, one day I'm going to go and learn how to do this properly, and transition into visual storytelling. So after I wrote that last book and it was released, I gave it a few years and then I said, okay, it's now time. So I applied. I was in a, again, it's like the universe tells you what's going to happen. So I applied for a new job and applied for my master's in screenwriting. And I said to myself, if I get the new job, then I'm going to have to defer the master's because I was accepted in. So I was just waiting to see if I was going to get this new job because in my current job, I I know the job very well. I can manage my time with what was expected of me, as well as the challenges of studying again. But in a new job with more responsibilities in a new space, I couldn't take that risk. So I didn't get that job. If I got that job, we probably wouldn't be having this
You
conversation.
were
Stolen Dreams
you
probably
weren't
wouldn't
supposed
exist.
to.
Yeah.
You weren't
Stolen Dreams wouldn't
supposed to.
exist.
Mhm.
And I have a theory that I said to myself, and I said to myself, because I didn't get that job, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this master's and I'm going to go into visual storytelling. But I said to myself, it can't just be a passive thing. It needs to mean something. And I need to come back and reflect and say, okay, let me when I do tell this exact story that I didn't get that job for a reason, as you were just saying, Anita, in terms of it needed to the ripple effect needed to make sense. So I started my screenwriting journey, and I was the only person in my class who hadn't written a script before. But I've told stories, I've written books. So while we were doing all our assignments, I thought I need to write something um, that I could make as well. Something very simple, two characters, one location, that would connect with people. So that's when I wrote Stolen Dreams, the first one. And I just went online and started looking for people who were good with cameras, nothing too grand. I found a cinematographer. We connected really well. He read the story and he goes, "Wow, I think we can make this." He started talking about cinema cameras and all of these um, expensive equipment. And so we shot it over 4 days, the first one. And because the quality was so good, and I was used to doing big book launches. And I've always, with my launches, I always used to bring young people in, so other talented young people into the space. So with my first book launch, it was
Mm.
a poetry night as well as my book launch. My second one, it was I got different young artists to interpret the meaning of ambitions of the deprived to them. So it was a night showcasing their work. My Sister's Pain, it was a night celebrating women and sisterhood in terms of all of the women in our communities that keep us strong. And so that night was all of the speakers, dancers, were all women, and we did that at the Hackney Empire. So that was the biggest one. We had about 700 people
Mm.
in that space. So I was used to putting on events for my creative work. So with this film being out, it's like, okay, naturally this should be seen in a collective space where we can have a conversation about the film afterwards. So we did that at the Genesis last, no, in 2000 and June 2004. So we did two screenings there, and people really took to it because it was 50 minutes, one location and two characters, which is in this day and age where everybody doesn't have much attention span, like to hold the audience for that long. And everybody said, "Oh, you're going to write another one," which I didn't have an intention to do. It was just more of exercising this new skill, for all of the biggest scripts that I've been writing through my masters, and wanted to change the narrative and the stories of how we're portrayed in the media as well,
Mm.
which was one of my main goals. And so after one of those screenings, I had a conversation with a few young men outside the screening, and as they were talking, like the plot for this second version, Stolen Dreams Redemption, came to me, and I was literally in a 5 minute period, I literally wrote down the whole thing in my head. And then later on that summer, I spent the next sort of 3, 4 weeks sort of fleshing out that particular script. And then yeah, it's like it's a little bit more exciting because it's like you have to take your written work, and and turn it into something real that involves bringing other people in terms of cinematographers, actors. And so being able to step out of being the writer to being the director and producer and trying to find the funding to be able to bring this story to life has been an amazing journey. And so something I've really liked doing.
Yeah,
From the script, they become real.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It's like an extended family, isn't it? Because I mean, these are your people. Like,
Yeah. It just becomes like a family because when the story means something to everyone, and people connect with it in a way, especially with this redemption one, because it was written in a way that not many people have seen before, where you're stepping into the mind of a murderer, essentially, who is now having conversations with a prison psychologist as to what has led him to where he was, and just his psyche of redemption, forgiveness, and what you can do to make a difference. And so being able to see the different side of consequences, going back to my first book, because this is it, you're now living through the consequences through somebody else's story. And hopefully when young people see it and when parents and other people see it, it's like, okay, cool. That's where we don't want to end up. And the backstory of this character we can all learn something from it because again, he's been screaming for a long period of time right before he's eventually made that final decision that would ultimately cost somebody else's life and his own life as well. But now all of a sudden, because that's happened, now everybody can hear the scream, but it's too late, essentially.
yeah,
But there's other young people who are silently still screaming, and we need to make sure that we can hear him.
exactly. I don't want to say too much about it because people need to watch it themselves. But what I will say is the highlighting of um how the consequences of people's behaviors and actions, it doesn't just impact that person. You highlighted all the other people in that person's circle
Yeah.
that was affected. I'm not saying that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people were
Yeah,
affected
Has,
by
has,
try
by
hard to say nothing
it
else.
has a script.
I'm trying, I'm trying. I don't want to be a plot spoiler. People need to watch it
Spoiler!
themselves.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah. Yeah.
Not doing it. It was I was captivated by it, and when you were saying that I wouldn't yeah.
Careful, spoiler. You're going to
I'm
start
not saying
quoting from the
I'm not
script now.
Just
it's
tell
not
us
about the
then.
script. It's not about the script. What I'm saying is where universe has made a lot, not a lot, but some of your decisions is like almost like flipping the coin and like
Mm.
if it goes that way, it goes that way. But you've made use of the directions that it's taken. You've seen where being guided by universes and you made use of those opportunities. But where Sugar had asked you about the fear, it was at that time something came into my head where um, sometimes we let fear hold us back
Yeah.
from doing what we are capable of doing
Hmm.
and don't believe we're capable of doing. Don't make connections because we feel like mm, maybe not. Have you ever had that kind of um, moments for yourself, like that fear of not wanting to move into certain circles because maybe not, or speaking to people that could probably help to cushion? Because that's going to lead to my next question. Go on.
Yeah. In terms of actually creating itself, I'm more of a risk taker. I'll definitely grow old knowing that I've given it my all. Like, it's like when a period that I really enjoyed was when my teenage daughter, I said to her, because she kept asking to read My Sister's Pain, My Sister's Pain. Some of the themes in there was too complex for her at the time she was asking. She was 10 when she kept asking about it. And I was like, when you turn 13 or 14, you can read it. And so, but when she first read the book, there was a feeling of like, this is one of the hardest things to do, to write a book and to sell a book in a world where everyone's easily distracted, where you have somebody who's paid for your book and you know that they're investing 6 to 7 hours of their time. Like, with music is different. You can listen to an album and be in the gym and cook. You can still be doing other things, but when somebody buys my book, whether it's one person or 10, like I'm very, very grateful for each person. And sometimes people take it for granted. And so for me, it's like the fear is not in the creation per se. It's just more about what more can I do to get this in front of more people. And so I guess when I do look at fear, it's more about making new connections, and the networking aspect of things is something that innately, if you put me in front of a crowd of 100,000 people or 1,000 people, it's like it's like a different persona.
Mm.
But then it's like once you take me off the stage to go and interact with all of those individuals, like the natural introvert in me just wants to escape, just wants to leave that space where I know there's a lot of people in there that could potentially help turn my stories into a bigger audience, essentially. So for me, it's never about the fear, it's not about the creation, it's just more about that next step, which is connections that can help elevate my stories and find new audiences.
So, oh gosh, help me, Sugar, because I don't even know where to go with this one. There was another point I was going to take.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an onward struggle with introverts because people will think, oh, he tells fantastic stories and he goes out about and he's done this,
Yeah,
done that. But little do they know you're only doing those things whilst you're in
yeah.
your circle, because that is something that I experienced myself. But I've never known UK fluffy chick to be lost for words. But anyway, but anyway, I so you've done your journey, like that you've been led and you've helped. I know without you telling me that you've helped so many people, and that are you still on that mission? Where are you now? You still in teaching?
Yes, I'm still in teaching, so I'm at Kingston College at the moment. So I took a year out last year to really delve into my creative work and just to take a break because it's quite challenging being in some of those spaces where you're fighting the system a lot, especially when um, when they start seeing young people as numbers. Um, but when you're at a certain level, it's like you still see them as human beings. And I remember one of my colleagues said to me, because it took me a while to try and climb up the ladder, but the higher you climb, the far away you go from the young people. And the only reason I decided to go into sort of management for a short period of time,
Mm.
especially with teacher training and being able to be part of the CPD and training other teachers, is like I felt like if I just stay in my comfort zone, which is the classroom and teaching, then
You
my
won't get.
ideas and my principles stay in this wall. So it works well here, but I see so many students complaining about other teachers, and like you can get big-headed by saying, "Oh, sir, like we really like your lesson, we really like this," but and I'm like, I'm doing them a disservice if the whole environment is not
isn't isn't
growing
on
what's
the
happening in
same
here.
level.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you can be selfish and say, "Oh, at least they like me," or what I mean, I'm helping them. But from I had to switch my thinking and say, okay, from a strategic perspective, if I am now able to influence all of the teaching staff, then
Right, yeah.
that's a more powerful position to potentially to be in. I did that for a while, and I thought I was making inroads, but it's like it's a magnetic force
It's a battle.
that
It's a
that
battle.
I remember I gave the speech once in my previous college, and I called it "Other People's Children," and I had to remind all of the staff members to not get caught up into this chasm of how they see the young people that are in their care, especially in further education. So it's like we're seen as a different entity for those that teach A levels in post 16, for instance, whereas that's seen as the high end of education after you finish your GCSEs. And then if you're doing a BTEC or you're doing a vocational, it's seen as the other, essentially. And so that's represented through funding, through qualifications, through even how you know, UCAS and all of these other things. And I just had to remind the teachers in regards to forget about the learning walks that the senior managers are doing, forget about Ofsted. The biggest people who you should care about are the young people who are in the classroom every single day. Because I said to them, is like a lot of you are expecting ready-made children. These are still young people who are still, the brains are not fully developed. They have to learn through experience. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to annoy you. But every day has to be a reset. You can't bring in, okay, Johnny gave you bad attitude yesterday, and that's now going to be your energy for the whole week, essentially. So when I'm observing lessons and I've seen this young man come in, he's coming with good energy, but the teacher's still holding stuff from the day before, and I can see that it's not good. So it's like just being in that space and trying to influence from that perspective and say, okay, don't label them the same way the politicians has labeled them in terms of this young people being other people's children, because if
Ferals.
if this was
Feral
your
youth.
child in this college,
Mhm.
how would you want the education to be? Would you be on time? Would you make sure that everything is planned accordingly? That you need to hold yourself to the same standard that we want to be paid for, essentially. So, and that comes from what you're doing every single day with these young people that might not be the same level academically to the A-level students, but you still owe them that same level of
Yeah,
professionalism and expertise and subject knowledge to be able to deliver for them, because eventually they will grow up, and it's better for them to grow up knowing that they can say, you know what, I just wasn't ready. I was just an annoying kid in college, but my
yeah.
teachers kept trying. They never gave up on me, rather than them grow up and say, you know what, college was
They
a
just
terrible
could have
experience.
done better.
Teachers didn't care, always
Mm.
late, never prepared. And then you don't want to be the person on that side of history. So that's what I did for a while. But like I said, fighting a losing battle. So I took a
Yeah,
year out.
because it's all about the figures, like you said earlier on. It's all
Yeah,
about, yeah, let's show that we're a good blah,
yeah,
and just concentrate on the good ones.
yeah.
My next question to you is, where are you heading? Where can you see yourself going?
Um, so I guess I'm back in the classroom, so I'm teaching. So it's like I just needed to go back to love what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. That's being in the classroom, teaching, working with the young people itself and themselves, and just continue telling stories. Um, and yeah, I've got one of the biggest jobs at home, which is raising three girls with different ages that require a lot of my time as well. So just trying to be well balanced in terms of being a husband, being a father of, you know, my daughter just finished GCSEs, so this was a tough year from a learning, teenage, growing perspective. Obviously, she's had to go through many different transitions in her life and the stories that she's had. So just being able to manage that, and obviously my middle daughter who's now 6, ongoing health issues due to the prematurity, and what that, you know, what we have to go through with that, and then obviously my youngest daughter who's got a last born syndrome. So yeah, I have to manage her
Oh,
as
that's a
well, so
heavy
she feels like
load.
she runs the house. But yeah, for me, it's just more about can I be present for all of these things? So being at home and still being able to tell stories. So just managing my time really well, which is what I feel like I do. I've got loads of different scripts that I have that I want to eventually develop. But I also know how hard the industry is in terms of this is an industry that's based on you have to hold your hand out and ask for things to be accepted. And it's a very much a subjective environment. And sometimes you don't know if they want your story to be told or not. So because I've come from an independent publisher with my books. So I've got that mentality of I'm going to get something made one way or the other. So that's my mentality in terms of um, creating, eventually building an audience that will now be so strong that they can advocate for me in some of those bigger rooms. I can use them as leverage. Say, listen, this is what I did. You know, I've got 10,000 people behind me. Imagine what I can do with £1 million budget,
Oh
with a two
gosh, you're
million pound
answering
budget.
my next question.
Yes, and go on because it's going to lead to one of the things that was brought up at his screening. But I'll let you I'll let you ask your question first, Sugar.
No, he started to answer the question that I was going to ask, and it was about, say, like if ambitions of the deprived became a multi-million
Mhm.
blah, would you give up teaching just to focus on writing?
I guess I think the natural person in me is always going to teach. And I guess it would more transition into teaching in within my own terms. Over the last 10 years, it's like I've very much looked into creating my own school, those type of things. But even then, there's so much red tape that's involved into those things because I have so many ideas of knowing what I could achieve in those spaces. So I feel like teaching will always be in me, even up till now. It's like I've got two young people that I mentor from a creative writing space. So those teaching will always happen, but I just feel like I need to accomplish more first before because I want to be a doer first because sometimes it's like you feel like you're starting something and naturally you just want to go and teach that thing. And that takes you away from going to do that thing, if that makes sense. So it's like there's still a lot of stories to be told. There's still a lot of films that I want to make. So I'm going to concentrate on doing those. And once I get fully established, a lot more credibility in the bank, then definitely um, have more leverage to be able to, to create schools or training sessions under my own terms, essentially.
to, to help the youth, to
Yes.
support the youth,
Yeah.
to
That
bring
was
them
gonna
through, bring them through that grey area when they're neither a child or an adult. And when you treat them like an adult, they're like, "But I'm a child," and when you treat them like a child, "But I'm an
And
adult." So yeah, just to bring them through that. Um, Sorry, was that Beverly? Were you trying to say
yeah,
something?
I was gonna say, which leads me to a statement that was brought up at the screening because I remember you telling the story of how you kind of do things yourself and you've been, you work how many jobs to be able to fund projects and stuff like that. And one of the ladies in the audience had asked, how can we, the community, help you to get your stories out? So I wanted to use, in my little, in my space for you to say, um, to showcase your fundraising project that you've got going on at the moment for the final chapter of the Stolen Dreams
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, so
So
that literally that conversation, that question that she asked, again, sort of going back to that networking thing in terms of just asking for help and just, so that read itself that particular night in regards to that question. So through that, I was able to create I guess a support funding stream for those that have seen the work and want to support any way that they can in regards to injecting some community funds to those projects. So yeah, that exists at the moment. Um, but at the same time, I'm still, I still have my strategy, which is I need the previous films to fund what I'm going to do next. So that leads to Redemption. Over the next throughout July, we're actually going to start promoting because we're going to now take the film to online screenings. So now we'll open it up to the whole of the UK. So we're going to do like a national marketing promotion throughout July to screen in the first 2 weeks, to have several dates throughout August, essentially. So now we move. So we don't want to do it on demand. So on demand means it's like there's less urgency. So you just kind of put the film out there and you promote it, and then people can go and watch it whenever they feel like it, whenever they have time. So from a psychological perspective, knowing that you don't have a huge budget, it's like how do we make sure that we still have that layer of urgency and scarcity as well? So what we want to do is promote it for a month and then have selected dates where we recreate the live screenings but online essentially. So we watch it all together and then we jump on a Zoom call and we can have those sort of conversations around the themes. And this time people are not restricted due to locations because we've managed to screen it in Birmingham, Manchester, London, several venues, and then internationally we went to Germany in February. Um, and so there are other cities that I know, for instance, people from Northampton said, "Oh, when are you coming to Northampton?" Some people in Leeds, but it's because we're paying for every venue that we go into. So you pay for the venue, and then you have to pay for the marketing to make sure that you're able to at least offset your costs. Do you know what I mean? At the bare minimum, break even. So it's like I wouldn't mind doing as many as possible if it paid for itself, but sometimes it's not always the case. So we now have to sort of pivot. So we've done 10 very, very successful screenings since last September up until March. And so now, okay, this would be a good time to now go online, reduce the overheads, and increase the capacity of scale essentially. So if we're able to get loads more people in there, then this becomes the primary way that I can fund the next film without having to go back and start working three, four jobs.
That's fantastic. And I remember that question was that kind of threw you back. But when the woman said, "How could we help you?" We're like, help me. Like, um, I didn't even
Okay.
think help.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's that thing in me of it's like, where you ask for help and you've put how much it's taking you to get to the point of asking, and then when you put yourself in that vulnerable position and then nothing happens or there's no
Oliver,
momentum for that, it can knock you back. So in my head, I'm like, let me suffer. I'd rather just go and work multiple jobs and raise the funds and just get it and just make sure that I'm in control all the time of getting it done. Then, like for instance, with the funding route, for instance, that's um that's a mechanism that I can't control. That's 12 people who are going to watch a film or read a script and decide whether or not it could get made or not.
Or not.
Up till today, about 1,000 people have not seen that film live. Loads of great feedback from the community. I've submitted that film to about 7 film festivals. None of them have accepted it. And so if I went through that route first of having to seek validations from the industry first, it can knock you down because you feel like, why am I not good enough? Is the story not good enough? Why don't they care? But for me, those rejections was more about, okay, finding a different audience
mm,
rather than I don't have an audience full stop because I know 1,000 people have seen it. I know people have spoken very highly about this film. So it doesn't knock my confidence in that way, or just more of, okay, if that works out, great. But if it doesn't, I still have a strategy that I'm going to
another
continue
way.
to go down. And so that's how it's
Yeah, that's I mean, it's what they see as in vogue. I mean, so many authors, playwrights, and that have been through that. I mean, J.K. Rowling's is a
yeah.
very good example of how the knockback. So you just got to keep going, and you give off a very positive vibe. So the last question that we would normally ask, I'm wondering whether you really would have anything to say to your younger self if you had the opportunity to go back to your younger self and give him some advice. What would it be?
um, what would it be? It would be um so don't be too hard on yourself.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
yeah, don't be too hard on yourself because even though, like you said, it's like there are many people that um me doing this line of work has helped, and whether it's in my classroom or in youth work, I've had young people who've messaged me from prison who said I should have listened. I've had young people um who did manage to become successful, who are now in their early 30s, who are doing well. And I see them and they're very respectful. And it's like, you know, success comes in many different ways. And obviously, sometimes I'm hard on myself because I feel like maybe if I did go into computer science, then I might have been able to you know when they say charity begins at home, when things become a lot more difficult for your immediate family, it's like when I see my mom still working, and like it's those things. There's still things that I feel like from a financial perspective, I want to be able to have done more. So it's like this in your head. It's like, okay, if you didn't do that and you went there, maybe your family would be better off from a financial perspective. But then where would a lot of these young people be if you weren't there and if you weren't doing these things? And so it's just, yeah, don't be too hard on yourself, and still make the same decisions because, yeah, I think um,
You like
that,
the road that you've gone
yeah,
down.
yeah, because
Excellent.
I can sleep well at night.
I think you're not aware that you are being hard on yourself, though. I don't think it's an easy task to
Yeah,
undertake. You're not aware of it.
yeah,
You know, you keep going. I think it's later in life. Me and
With
Sugar
friends.
can vouch for that, because we all, but you don't realize until you're getting on and you think,
yeah.
how did I manage that? How did I manage that? I used to do 16-hour days,
Yeah.
and it's only now that I've become pensioner, I can say, I'm not even sure how I used to do that, you know, but
Yeah.
you did.
Was there anything in the chat there, Sugar, before we start rounding up?
No, sadly, the people that came on have had ailments and sent messages of apologies that they weren't able to
That
finish along with us. So there was
that's
no questions today.
that's all right. Because then we got to speak with no interruptions. Because this whole convo, you see, even left me speechless. Yeah, but yeah,
Excellent.
but the replay will be available on YouTube on our YouTube
You're going
channel.
to put that information on the YouTube replay, aren't you?
What? Yeah. Don't worry about that. I'm just talking. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just talking.
Just talking about the availability of
Can
the
I just
replay.
can I just
Yeah.
ask you one question? You
Yep.
know, in the beginning, you said someone got shot in Hoxton.
Yeah.
What did you say the shop was?
It was a chicken shop in the corner right next to the college on
I
Hoxton
know.
Street.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
my cousins live in Hoxton, and I remember them talking because I live in Grimsby,
Yeah.
and I remember them talking about it. Yeah.
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 Okay.
It's a classic case of when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. Yes,
Yeah.
rather than find a way to bring some positives out of these tragedies and make these things that happen
Mm,
serve a purpose and a purpose in terms of creating change.
Yeah.
And from what it sounds like, whether well you realize, but you are making changes and making impacts, and yeah, it's going to be that ripple effect where yes, you started within your community,
Mm-hmm.
ways of having a bigger outreach without having to physically be there.
Hmm.
And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, your films are used also in as educational resources. Is that correct?
Yeah. So again, the natural teacher in me feels like, okay, especially with Stolen Dreams, it's um it's a reflection of what's happening in the society, and could be used as an educational tool. So with the first series, I created about 6 hours worth of resources that could be sent to teachers so they don't need to develop anything themselves because I know how busy teachers are. So rather than them watch the film and having to come up with the resources themselves, I was able to create all of the resources based on all the different themes that were covered in that first series.
Yeah.
And so they can sort of self-deliver based on that. And I'll also do the same for this new film, Redemption, at some point as well. But for now, if schools wanted us in, then we'd come in and do a private screenings, and then I would naturally just run the workshops myself until those resources are eventually created for the teachers or the in-house staff to now just watch the films themselves and they can just use the resources.
That's a great idea, and that's my idea of CPD, yeah. Because me and Victor is in education. If I had that as my CPD, child, please, I'll be like, yeah, me for CPD.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but this talk. Thank you so much as well for giving us your time.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah,
Yes, it has been a great conversation. And UK Fluffy Chick was so thrilled when you said yes. Do you know, did she tell you that she was very nervous about approaching you?
Oh,
You
serious?
know,
Why?
in her eyes. Did she tell you?
No, no.
In her eyes, you're a big gun, and it's like for her to old her to approach you, and then you said yes. She was like, she was very happy.
No, you know what it is. Let me just say it like this. What it is, right? Because we're kind of young in the podcasting world. So in the podcasting world, yes, and young in terms of creative content creating. I'm video tech savvy, right, and editing savvy and all these things. Hence why, if I was to watch the fact, which took me so long to start doing this in the first place, was because I can't do it like everybody else. But I know what I want to say, and I know what I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, maybe I don't do it in the traditional, studio settings and all of that. But I don't want it to be focused on aesthetics. It's about the message. Yeah. But the previous Fluffy Chick wouldn't have made a start because it's like aesthetically it's not there. I don't have to do that.
Just get started, yeah.
Yeah. So and then I feel like because we're young in the podcasting world, like because people tend to go by numbers and followers and this stuff, they don't realize that people have to start from somewhere. No one just started podcasting with 10 million followers or viewers or whatever. So
trust
sometimes
me, I've been there. I remember I approached somebody on Instagram and he said to me, get to 5,000 followers, then we can talk.
You see what I mean?
I was just like, okay, no worries, that's fine.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. But yeah.
So this is why sometimes I have that fear in me to ask people, because I'm just thinking like, we're just small fries. They ain't gonna have time for us. So when someone like yourself, I think let me finish the stuff. Do you know what I said? So you brought it up. So when someone like Emeka says, sure, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yes. But it came from your mouth, not mine. So anyway, but but thank you very, very much for your time. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I'm not wishing, because it's going to happen, every success in every venture, every story that you tell, because there's many more stories to come, and looking forward to seeing them. If anyone wants to get involved in the fundraising element of it, funding thing, I see like you've got your website, storiesbyemeka.com, that they can go to, and I think you've broken it down into different ways that you can get involved.
Putting it on the YouTube link.
And it's going to be on there. The links is all going to the links is going to be shared with everything, and in your bio, in the bio.
Okay.
So that's it. So is there anything I've left out? Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off, Mr.
No, I'll just say keep the great work going, keep it going. And well done on everything that you're doing and the platform that you're building and giving people an opportunity to share their stories and inspire other people. So well done to all of you. And
excellent. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Miss Anita, as always. You never let any ailments or nothing cut you out.
She hung on in there.
Yeah.
She hung on in there and popped out.
Appreciate you as our supporter. And so is that a wrap now, Miss Sugar? Because she likes when I do
That's
this.
a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. All right, then take care, everybody.
Have a good evening. Take care.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.